Ekari suka ka wara leantse ka simingisa nga kuma kwa xibya hina twi hi ku nghena ka Facebook page ya Tiko Etlele ku Tiko Etlele lomu u kuma ka kona ekari ku haxila tube so kwa tindlwini ta vuhaxi ta hina kwala dorobeni ra Polokwane ku ya la komiseka kona loko hi sungula nongonoko na tshemba leswaku kwala ka Facebook page ya Tiko Etlele wa swivona va kona meyara wa doroba ra Polokwane Munghana Thembi Nkadimeng lava hi nga na vona ka siku ra namuntlha mi nga ta va ka ri burisana na vona hi langutile eka timhaka ta ku va ta va hlawurile tanihi un'wana wa va president eka nhlangano wa United Cities and Local Governments eka nhlangatano ya khomeriwe eDurban vhiki leri hundzeke kasi Munghana Nkadimeng ehandle ka ku va ri mayor wa doroba ra Polokwane president wa nhlangano kahle emurhangeri president wa nhlangano wa vufambisi bya timasipala wa SALGA kwala tikweni ra Afrika-Dzonga. Miss Nkadimeng, good morning and welcome to Tiko Etlele.
Good morning to your listeners.
Good morning. Congratulations on your new role as the co-president of the United Cities and Local Governments. What does it mean to you to be elected as the co-president of this organization?
Well, I think it, and thank you very much for that. It's quite a lot of hard work, but it means one, the responsibility one carries to make sure that South African municipalities can be able to be accepted worldwide, globally. And you know the state of our municipalities is still struggling. So we've got quite a lot to learn from our counterparts worldwide on how best to run a municipality in a developing country. But secondly, I'm a woman. You know, it means quite a lot for me representing and carrying a flag of women to make sure that whatever I do represents women, but also lift the name of women, so that those who come after me can be able to even be better women and be better leaders.
What kind of responsibilities comes with this new responsibility?
Well, it's to lead over 123 worldwide municipalities, countries. So it's SALGA's times by 123. There are 8 regions, which makes UCLG, and regions are not necessarily within the South African region. So you've got North America, you've got America, you've got Europe, Eurasia, you've got Africa. So that's the responsibility one carries. So we sit, besides the exchanging of roles, we have got a peer review mechanism. You will recall that Mayor Pakstow, former mayor of Johannesburg, just descended now at the election in November. He was president since 2016 to 2019. So it's a 3-year term. We've been elected to 2022. So it's an institution and a structure which also does peer mechanisms and hold you accountable on behalf of the name. It's just like lawyers have an association. So or chartered accountants or auditors. So you can't be a chartered accountant and not be responsible and be respondent into your mother body of what regulates the ethics of a profession. So we also do that as well.
We understand that you are faced with a huge responsibility, but coming back home, in our province, many municipalities are failing to render services to communities, which results to service delivery protest. How are you going to use this new role to address the current challenges?
You know, to be honest with you, in comparison, South Africa has 257 municipalities. Limpopo has 27. 5 being districts, and we only have around 3 municipalities under administration in the province. You have got Tabazimbi, you have got Mudimule Mkhopo, you have got Section 139, which have just been announced in Munghana Lonene. Municipalities countrywide are struggling to provide services, not because of their own making, but because of the design and how municipalities by law were constituted. The law says municipalities need to collect 95% of revenue from their own residents. And me and you knows that we are around 30% of unemployment. So collection becomes a problem. And the non-collection is equal to the non-delivery of services. Because municipalities like Giyani, for example, Greater Giyani, will only be dependent on a grant that is given from an equitable share. And the grant doesn't give you 100% of the household that lives within Greater Giyani municipality. So there's a discrepancy in terms of what municipalities get and what municipalities are supposed to deliver. The expectations are very high. A person puts a check today, expect a road, expects water, expect a school, expect a clinic, expect high standard 100% life when nobody has planned for his or her movement into a particular settlement. But how you collect the rates and taxes as well is very strongly dependent on who owns the land. So a municipality like Giyani, it's almost 90% rural. It's neighboring, which means the land belongs to a traditional leader, and the municipality can't collect property rates. I mean, Polokwane by its very own nature, people think it's urban, but it is 70% rural. We only collect the rates in 3 areas: Seshego, town, and a portion of Mankweng. The rest, your Maja, Aranang, whatever, you have got to feed them from the grant and the legal that you are collecting from rates and taxes. So the formula is it's a bit skewed in terms of a developmental South Africa. But we have made those inputs to Parliament, and there's a current bill which seeks to review the Municipal Structures Act and the Systems Act. And I think that's the role that I think I would have played in trying to change the equitable share distribution of formula in a distribution of funds into municipalities. That will take municipalities a long way. So yes, you could say there are protests. I mean, there were protests in Tzaneen some 2 weeks ago about no water. There were protests in Seshego here in Polokwane. There were protests in Tabazimbi. But in comparison, you go to Northwest, out of more or less the same size of municipalities, 14 are under administration. You go to Free State, I mean Northwest, I think it's 8. You go to Free State, it's around 40. So you could see that Premier Chukuma Tabata is doing relatively well in compared to how the country is doing municipally.
Ms. Nkadimeng, you are raising a very good point when you talk about municipalities dependent on grants. You know, they are failing to bring in revenue for themselves in order to render services to the people. You know, let's look into the issue of municipalities being owed billions of rands. How are you dealing with that as SALGA?
Yeah, I know. I went online some 2 weeks or so ago, and as SALGA, we took a decision that we want to force particularly business and government and employed citizens of South Africa to pay for their rates and taxes, and we encourage our municipalities to cut. And you know, in Polokwane we've started, so that as a president I'm able to lead by example and show municipalities that it is doable. I want to give an example. Often people judge Mopane municipality, it's doing bad, it's not delivering. Mopane owes around 300 million for water, but it is owed over 400 million. So if government and business can just pay Mopane municipality, Mopane municipality will tomorrow be able to offer and deliver water to its residences appropriately. Of course, yes, there is a scourge of corruption which seems to, in the understanding of people, to overshadow everything that seems to be distributed, even in these grants. But if you go closely to the book of the Auditor General, it shows you that in the money that has been allocated to the local government sphere, if you say we've been given 10 rand, we properly can account for 7 rands. And we're not saying that 3 rand is not important. We're saying it is important, but and we need to be able to make sure that we follow it and charge people responsibly. But in the main, municipalities don't receive enough. Municipalities can't collect even what they've received, and therefore the formula becomes a problematic one.
You've been indicating a lot of things, talking about billions owed to municipalities, people not understanding the role of municipalities, and also municipalities are depending on grants. But as the mayor, as the municipality, the leadership, what are you doing in order to raise an awareness to the people so that they understand the role of the municipalities and also the challenges they are facing?
Well, there's quite a lot of programs that we undertake as SALGA to make sure that, one, we support municipalities. We've got a program called MASP, which is Municipal Audit Support Program. We don't only support municipalities towards their audit process, but we support them in being to improve their liquidity ratio, which means they need to have sufficient funds. And the only way you're able to generate funds is to make sure that you spend less from what you are receiving, so that your books balance and give you a good state of financial being as an entity. Now, in this program, we adopt municipalities and take them through the process and assist them to clean their debt books, assist them to communicate to people more about collection of rents. But the answer is simple and not yet difficult to achieve. It's putting smart meters. So municipalities need to be able to reduce in how they are spending, budget more, and put smart meters so that you buy for the water that you are consuming, you buy for the electricity that you are consuming, and ultimately nobody is going to be owing anybody. And we are championing that. We have appointed ourselves in Limpopo to be a pilot. We are starting with government departments, the ones that we've cut off. When we are reconnecting them, we're putting them on a meter. We've started putting big business like Mall of the North into metering system, because we want to do away with the eradication of the debt. But it also helps people to plan their lives as well. When you are taking it directly from your pocket, you begin to ask yourself, why am I spending so much on electricity? And you realize that it's not important for me to have a room that the lights are on when I'm not necessarily using it currently at that time. It's drawing more and more energy, and it helps ultimately in sustainability in what we want to achieve as a country. So those are programs that we are running. It is not easy. I want to tell you that, and I know, because I'm a mayor myself. I mean, Tipa can tell you we've just put an advert that we are generating revenue out of the parking area in town, and the feedback said 90% negative. We don't want to pay. But municipalities are supposed to generate. So for me to maintain the roads in town, there's no municipal infrastructure grants. You know, municipal infrastructure cannot grow to rural areas. So for the city to generate funds to be able to allocate and maintain its own roads, you need to get money from the city itself. So how are you going to be able to make sure that there are no potholes in the city? And if you go to other cities, it's scary. I mean, you go to Maluleke today. Witbank used to be a very beautiful town. Today it's full of potholes. You can't drive in that town. So you need to be able to develop that and make sure that constantly you are able to keep the infrastructure up to date.
Mayor Nkadimeng, we thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for visiting our studios. Have a beautiful day and good luck with your new role.
I need the good luck more than anything else. Thank you very much for having me. It was great explaining my role as well. Thank you.